Have you ever wondered why the same product is priced differently in different places? Well, that's what we call price discrimination. In the world of business, price discrimination is a common and intriguing concept. It refers to a pricing strategy where companies charge customers different prices for the same product or service. While it might sound unfair at first, it's actually a widespread practice and can be seen in many facets of our daily lives. From airline tickets to coffee shops, from concert tickets to your favorite online shopping sites, price discrimination is everywhere. Now let's break it down into 3 types: first degree, second degree, and third degree price discrimination. First degree price discrimination, also known as perfect price discrimination, occurs when a company charges each customer the maximum price they are willing to pay. Imagine going to a concert where every ticket is sold at a different price depending on how much each individual is willing to pay. Sounds quite personalized, right? Next, we have second-degree price discrimination, which involves charging different prices based on the quantity purchased. Think about buying in bulk at a wholesale store. The more you buy, the less you pay per unit. It's all about quantity here. Lastly, there's third-degree price discrimination, which is probably the most common type we encounter. This is when different prices are charged to different groups of people. Ever noticed how seniors, students, or children often get discounts at the movies or on public transportation? That's third-degree price discrimination. But remember, while it's an effective strategy for maximizing profits, price discrimination isn't always perceived positively. It can lead to customer dissatisfaction and even legal issues if not managed properly. So, now that we know what price discrimination is, let's delve into its impact on businesses. Imagine you run a business and you've implemented a price discrimination strategy. How would that play out? Let's take a step into reality with a well-known case study: Uber's surge pricing strategy. For those unfamiliar, Uber is a ride-hailing platform that adjusts its fares based on the demand for rides and the number of drivers available. This is a clear example of price discrimination, where customers in the same area might pay different fares for the same service at different times. Initially, this strategy seemed like a win-win situation. During peak times when demand was high and drivers were few, the surge pricing incentivized more drivers to get on the road. This meant more availability of rides for customers, albeit at a higher price. But then, things started to get tricky. Customers began to complain about the unpredictability and, at times, exorbitant rates. Imagine needing a ride home after a late-night event and finding that your usually affordable ride is now 3 times the normal fare. Frustrating, isn't it? This dissatisfaction grew into a public outcry, leading to negative publicity for Uber. Riders felt taken advantage of, especially during emergencies or events beyond their control, like sudden rainstorms or citywide events. The backlash was so strong that it led to the rise of competitor apps that offered flat-rate fares, regardless of demand. But the impact wasn't just on Uber's reputation. There were financial implications too. The disgruntled customers who switched to other services meant loss of revenue for Uber. And while surge pricing might have attracted more drivers during peak times, it also deterred riders, creating a mismatch in supply and demand. As we can see, while price discrimination may initially seem like a good strategy, it can have serious drawbacks. It's a delicate balance, and businesses must tread carefully. A strategy that might seem beneficial at first could end up alienating your customers and damaging your reputation. In the next section, we'll delve deeper into the negative impacts of price discrimination, so stay tuned. This Uber case is just the tip of the iceberg. So we've seen how price discrimination can backfire, but what are the specific negative impacts? Let's dive into the potential downsides of this business practice. Firstly, one of the most detrimental effects of price discrimination is the erosion of customer trust. In a world where information is readily available, consumers can easily compare prices across different platforms. If they discover that they're paying more than others for the same product or service, their trust in your business may falter. This can lead to a decrease in customer loyalty, and in the long run, it may result in a loss of repeat business, which is a critical aspect of sustained revenue growth. Next, price discrimination can generate negative publicity. In our hyper-connected society, news of unfair pricing practices can spread like wildfire. This could harm your business's reputation, making it difficult to attract new customers and retain existing ones. Remember, a good reputation is hard to build but easy to lose. Moreover, price discrimination can also lead to potential legal repercussions. In many jurisdictions, price discrimination is considered illegal, especially when it's based on factors like race, gender, or age. Businesses caught engaging in such practices can face hefty fines, lawsuits, and even be forced to close their doors. Lastly, all these factors can ultimately lead to a significant loss in revenue. With declining customer trust, negative publicity, and potential legal issues, your sales may plummet. The cost of dealing with these issues can also be substantial, further eating into your profits. In essence, while price discrimination might seem like an attractive strategy to maximize profits in the short term, it can have far-reaching negative impacts on your business. It can erode the very foundation of your business, customer trust, tarnish your reputation, and even bring unwanted legal trouble. It's clear that the risks associated with price discrimination can be significant. But is there a way to avoid these pitfalls? Stay tuned, as we'll be discussing ways to prevent the negative impacts of price discrimination in our next segment. It might seem like a daunting task to implement price discrimination without facing negative consequences, but fear not, there are ways to navigate this. First off, let's talk about transparency in pricing. In the digital age, consumers are just a click away from comparing prices, and they're more likely to trust businesses that are upfront about their pricing strategies. So if you're using price discrimination, make it clear why certain customers might be paying more. Perhaps it's due to shipping costs, or maybe it's because they're buying at peak times. Whatever the reason, be open about it. Next, consider careful market segmentation. Price discrimination is all about charging different prices to different segments of the market. But to do this effectively, you need to understand your market inside out. You need to know who your customers are, what they value, and how much they're willing to pay. And remember, segmentation isn't just about demographics. It's also about behavior, needs, and preferences. So invest in market research and get to know your customers better. Now, let's move on to offering value-added services. This is a great way to justify higher prices and mitigate the negative impacts of price discrimination. For example, you could offer faster delivery, superior customer service, or exclusive access to new products. These services add value to the customer's purchase and make them feel like they're getting their money's worth, even if they're paying a little more. Finally, always ensure that your pricing strategies are fair and ethical. Price discrimination can be a valuable tool for businesses, but it must be used responsibly. Don't exploit vulnerable customers or create unjust disparities. And remember, your reputation is on the line, so always aim to strike a balance between profitability and fairness. By taking these steps, businesses can leverage price discrimination without alienating their customers. So, we've taken quite a journey through the world of price discrimination. Let's hit the rewind button for a moment and revisit the key points we've discussed in this video. We started by explaining price discrimination as the act of selling the same product or service at different prices to different consumers, not based on costs, but on the willingness and ability of the consumer to pay. This can be a powerful strategy for businesses looking to maximize profits, but it's not without its pitfalls. We then looked at a real-life case study to bring this concept to life. It's always easier to understand abstract concepts when we can see them in action, isn't it? This case study demonstrated how price discrimination can go wrong and create negative publicity for a business. From there, we dove into the potential negative impacts of price discrimination. These can range from consumer dissatisfaction and loss of trust to legal repercussions in some jurisdictions. It's clear that while price discrimination can boost profits in the short term, it can also lead to long-term damage if not managed carefully. Next, we explored strategies to prevent these negative impacts. These include being transparent about pricing, offering value-based pricing, and regularly reviewing and adjusting pricing strategies. It's all about striking a balance between profitability and maintaining a positive relationship with your customers. Remember, while price discrimination can be a useful tool, it's crucial to implement it thoughtfully to avoid potential backlash. It's not just about making a quick buck, but about building a sustainable business that values its customers. Thanks for joining us in this exploration of price discrimination, and we hope you found this information useful and enlightening. Keep these points in mind as you navigate the complex world of business, and you'll be well on your way to making informed, strategic decisions. Until next time, stay curious and keep learning.